Hey guys, I'm the Political Enigma, and today I wanted to talk about something that's become more and more troubling to me lately. For those of you who have been following politics in the West to any degree the past few years, you'd already know that today it is an aggressive environment for anyone who has a viewpoint that differs from the so-called progressive left. It seemed like the conservative libertarian movement against this toxic climate was growing, and while speakers like Jordan Peterson have become more popular than ever, in the past few weeks in particular, I've realized that as much as these opposing views, this metaphorical think tank of ideas has become more popular and more in the mainstream, it just isn't doing enough. So a bit of backstory. The first story that really bothered me happened about 2 weeks back about Pamela Geller and the 4 Jewish Oshry sisters. For those of you who have no idea who those people are, Pamela Geller is one of the most notorious anti-Islamic activists in the West, and even before this issue blew up, she was the subject of media attacks for years. She is very vocal about her views, many of which even I have great disagreement over, but the title of hers that is the focus of most of her criticism is Islamophobe, anti-Muslim, anti-Islam, and things of that sort. Now I recommend you go and actually do your research on Mrs. Geller and watch some of her videos on YouTube because you'll be quick to realize that she is not the supervillain radical racist the media paints her to be. And the thing is, her being anti-Islam, which she definitely is, it isn't unjustified. Because besides just media attacks, Mrs. Geller has been a victim of active actions of terrorism against her. She has a fatwa on her head, essentially meaning she has been sentenced to die, and the Muslim who kills her gets a fast track to heaven. This isn't just a meaningless title, she has actually been attacked by ISIS on multiple occasions at her own art exhibition and also at a cartoon competition. And a jihadist has been arrested for plotting to behead her. As horrific as these actions are, the worst of it is that a fatwa extends to anyone even associated with the person, loved one, family, employers, anyone. And this is where it connects with the Oshry sister controversy. These 4 sisters, to all varying degrees, are internet celebrities on various social media sites, and they have been subject of attack online and fierce criticism for weeks. And what was their crime? Well, their mother is Pamela Geller. A reporter at the Daily Beast published an article revealing this information, and since then their popularity has been drastically decreasing. These sisters did nothing wrong, but just because they're even related to a conservative, they're losing shows and partnerships. And that isn't even the worst of it. Now, the same radicals, the same terrorists who try to kill Mrs. Geller have a target. Now, instead of Pamela Geller fearing for her own life, she has to fear for the lives of her entire family. There was no journalistic value to the article written at the Daily Beast. It wasn't a previous story of interest. No one cared. People didn't even know who Pamela Geller was until the media went roaring over how horrible these sisters are just because of their mother. It was an attack from the left. Now, not just against conservatives, but to innocent bystanders to the political world, endangering actual lives. They are going after anyone, even associated with someone they disagree with, to try to push their own political agenda. The second issue happened much more recently, and more of you have probably heard of this one. A few days ago, conservative activist and journalist Lauren Southern was denied entry into the UK and detained for 6 hours in Calais. Miss Southern was detained under the Terrorism Act, even though during a call to her father, it was revealed those at the border detaining Miss Southern did not only not have any evidence of terrorism, but they did not even suspect her of such actions. This was a gross abuse of power, furthering the attack on free speech from the UK. Following the incident, every conservative or right-leaning media network came to the defense of Miss Southern, pointing this out as the pathetic action it was, but mainstream media seemed not to be bothered by it, instead choosing to highlight that Lauren was, in their own words, far right in a seeming attempt to justify her detainment. Now, I couldn't help but wonder if this situation was flipped on its head. What if someone like Linda Sarsour had been detained, instead, at the border for no reason under the Terrorism Act? The media would go insane. There would be mass protests in the streets over institutionalized Islamophobia and racism, but Miss Southern is conservative, so it doesn't really matter to them. So where I stand now is, where are the conservative protests? Where are the true liberals against big government protesting in Europe, USA, and Canada over clear attacks on free speech and personal liberty, making their voices heard? There are great journalists and media personnel like Ben Shapiro, Dr. Peterson, and Lauren Southern who are influencing people with alternative ideas, but the conservative, liberal, rational political movement is too quiet. These issues should really be a wake-up call to those who really care about our culture. Milo Yiannopoulos made a great video last week that I greatly recommend watching about the Oshri sister controversy, and his sentiment needs to be heard. With those like Antifa okay with using violence to shut down opposing views, and people targeting children, the rationals, the people who are tired with this leftist attack, need to be louder. Without using violence or delving into leftist tactics, something has to be done because the Western world is on the edge of reason and totalitarianism. Europe is already in shambles. Canada, where I hail from, has largely been under the radar, but we are only a few steps behind Europe. And then behind that, there is the United States, and I don't want to see it devolve into a social justice warrior-dominated nation. Well, that's the end of the video. If you want to see more from me, whether it be news, analyses, or explanation videos on anything politics, like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.
Created using Powtoon.